Okay, so again, you know just go to LexisNexis from the library website. You'll have to sign in from off campus. You get to this page often, which is not helpful. You know I'm signed into academic, so why don't you just give me that? Let's do that. So for news, it's on the left here. All news, if you don't want to do newspaper specifically or TV specifically. So I'm going to do a search that we know has results for her case, which is Bill Graham versus Dorling Kindersley Limited, which is about the Grateful Dead book, The Illustrated Trip. Grateful Dead everywhere and Illustrated Trip everywhere. And this is by all available dates. It's not a really big deal book, actually, and so even a really broad search. Oh, this isn't even what I.
Huh. No, that's the one that you didn't get anything for.
What did we do before that worked? Do you remember?
No. Well, was it on? I don't think it was on news, was it? It was
All news.
What?
Yeah. Grateful Dead. And you're right. That we got no results. That's weird. So what did we get? Oh no, because we got some that at least had some results, and I'm trying to, but it was more than this. I don't really know. Oh, let's see. All news in English. Grateful Dead and Illustrated Trip everywhere. There we are. Right, because you at least want probably a couple stories just talking about the book. The book is released, here's what the book contains, and here's some sources that'll tell you a little bit more about the book, right? So that you're not depending so entirely on the judge's opinion.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. So for my case, what do I type in there, which is, in my case, is the video pipeline?
Same problem. Same problem with this case. So again,
all news.
Yeah, and I'm gonna hit edit search so I can go back a little bit and show you what I did. So, you know, news, all news, click here, and then, you know, I did Grateful Dead in one line, Illustrated Trip in another. But then even down here, it started us off with major world publications. And that, remember, that only got us 3 results.
Oh, okay.
So I moved this down to all news in English.
Okay.
Right? So then it's anything. Give me anything.
Right. Okay.
And hit search. Get 14 results. Here we are. Second Circuit upholds dismissal of copyright infringement action. Book publishers' reproduction of Grateful Dead concert posters and Grateful Dead biography is fair use. Appeals court affirms.
Oh, awesome. That's something.
Right? And then a couple more about the book. Maybe 1 or 2 law review articles. We're good.
Okay, perfect.
Right. Now I want to go back to while you were gone. I started us with looking at the law reviews as well. And here you see with 123 results, there's a lot. Like that's it. And so I'm gonna let's do this again just to show you what that looks like. So for law reviews, 448 F3D 605 everywhere, right? That's how we got 123 results. So let's edit this search. I want to pare it down. This isn't going to pare it down a lot, but I'm going to say and fair use. And instead of just everywhere, you can insist that that phrase occur at least 5 times. And then search. Right, now we're only down to 120. Pretty much this is a fair use case. Anything citing this is going to be talking about fair use. But sort by relevance. And so we've got unbundling fair uses, fixing fair use of foreign official immunity. Obviously, it's still not perfect in terms of the sort of how relevant is it. Digital rights management, we'll be talking about that later. It's fascinating. It's not helping you. Increasing access to knowledge through fair use, analyzing the Google litigation.
That was in law reviews, right? Sorry.
Yeah, in law review. So yeah, let me go back to the beginning to show you how I got there. No, that's fine. U.S. legal.
Yeah.
Right. And then law reviews. And then you entered the citation the first time. And then you can even enter, you know, like what specifically are you looking for in the law review? So let's say, what's that, What's that citation again, please?
It's 448 F 3D 605.
605. And let's say illustrated trip. So we at least want articles that talk about it in enough detail that it's got the name of the book in it. I think that's probably a pretty good strategy. Now we're down to 16. Right, and now I'll bet if we sort by relevance, this will be even more helpful. Intellectual property, fair use in the 21st century, Bill Graham and Blanche v. Coons. Blanche v. Coons is a separate case. The Bill Graham case is this. So this is a pretty detailed analysis of that case. Now here's the great thing about being in this position where there's not a lot of news coverage. And so really to get to your 5, you might consider going to law reviews, which is that these folks are going to be filled with helpful legal analysis. It's only going to count as a print news source. It's not going to count as a case, but it's going to have some really helpful legal analysis, and it's also going to help you find other cases that are related.
Okay.
Right. So let's go with the Berkeley Tech Law Journal one, which specifically says Bill Graham in the title. Book follows the band's developments through time. DK initially asked for permission, nevertheless DK. The court held that all 7 images were transformative. And now here it's a little bit less helpful because the footnotes are literally at the bottom, and so you have to click the hyperlink here. Let's see, drawing on the Ninth Circuit rationale in Kelly v. Aribasoft. Oh, the Second Circuit found. So you know from this write-up that Kelly versus Aribasoft, which is merely cited in the case, but you know here's another somebody who knows more about the law than you and probably even me, says this is the Kelly case is actually related to this case, right. And so that's a strong hint that this case, which is cited in the Bill Graham case, is going to be relevant.
I didn't have trouble
with finding relevant cases.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a bit easy, but yeah, these news sources.
Sure.
Can you give me an example of what I need to type in from my case?
Sure. Let's go right to your case here. So I'm gonna go back to the beginning. New search. So let's start with the news. What's your case again?
Video pipeline.
Oh yeah, the video pipeline case. So video pipeline is, I just know from experience, is a pretty obscure phrase. And so we're gonna do video pipeline everywhere. We're in the news section here, right? All news, video pipeline everywhere by type. And again, we're gonna, instead of major world publications, we're gonna change this to all news in English and see what comes up. There's a whole bunch. So video and pipeline apparently come close to each other pretty often. So let's edit the search, and I want copyright in. Now this copyright everywhere is unhelpful. Is decidedly unhelpful. And what do you think that would be?
It's very broad.
Right. It's even broader than you think though, because all of these articles are copyright such and such year by such and such copyright holder. And they'll say that in the article most of the time. So just having copyright, the word, in the text somewhere doesn't help. So what I like to do for that, for copyright in particular, is set that down to headline and lead paragraph or subject terms.
And lead paragraph.
Yeah, or subject terms. I actually slightly prefer subject terms, because then I feel like a lot of times the article won't use copyright, but the people who put the database together and put the article in the database will see, oh, this is really a copyright case, and so they'll flag it. So now we do video pipeline and copyright, and we're down to less than 50. Right. Ruptured pipeline, court backs wax web trailers. Sounds like your case. A federal district court judge on Monday handed Buena Vista Home Entertainment a sweeping victory in its copyright dispute with movie preview service Video Pipeline. Right? 47 more potential articles that could help you.
Oh, yeah, look at the date too. That probably should help a little. And then.
Yeah, you're right. There's going to be before and after the case. Immediately before and after the case is going to be a good window to look within.
So that would be for a print source.
For print news sources.
So then to find cases related, you said also check the opinion.
Yeah, let's go do that. What's your citation?
No, that's different.
Wait, here, hold on.
342.
Just a sec. We're gonna pull up the case, and I want to do it in U.S. legal just to make sure we know how to do this. Federal and state cases, okay? News, U.S. legal, federal and state cases. Let me zoom in just a bit there.
Are you still recording this?
Yes.
And you'll post it.
I'll just. Would you mind? Your voices are both going to be audible. Would you mind if I posted it for the class, or should I just email you two?
I don't mind.
Okay, great, cool. So federal and state cases, right? And now we're looking for search terms. So the 342 F3D191. In everywhere, no. We want the citation. Right, because if we do everywhere, then later cases that cite this case are going to make for a big list. Right, so we just want the citation, which should take us pretty close to the case. In fact, exactly the case. Video pipeline view Buena Vista. Okay, so again, you've got your overview, which is somewhat helpful in the middle of a bunch of junk that's totally unhelpful, including especially these headnotes. We're scrolling. Counsel, judges, opinion by, opinion, boom. 194, opinion of the court. Ambrose, circuit judge, says. Okay. And so we've got a bunch of text here, background, right? Very brief introduction, background. And then after the background and discussion, we've got the legal principles at stake. Likelihood of success on the merits. This is sort of basically, does the appeals court have to take this or that action based on this legal principle or that legal principle, which has nothing to do with copyright per se, right? So it's other legal issues that regard the standing of that case. We're not interested in those. A, fair use. Bingo. Zoom right in there. Right. Here's a nice quote about what copyright is for, but it's from Sony v. Universal. That's on the syllabus, so that's not one of your 5 sources, but and there are other sources for what copyright is for. I would urge you to maybe not lean too heavily on the case for something like that. And Campbell via Cuff Rose, again, the same thing. It's on the syllabus. Sony, Campbell, Harper and Roe v. Nation. It's like the syllabus here. I assign these cases for a reason, right? They're important cases, right? Kelly v. Aribasoft, that's on the suggested list, so it's not.
Wow, this is hard.
This is hard. This is hard.
Because mine had a lot of new ones.
Yeah.
My case and this one is just, I keep seeing the same.
Yeah. Campbell, Harper and Roe, Campbell. Worldwide Church of God versus Philadelphia Church of God. Right. Well, so the way this is structured, like you're going to see footnotes and footnotes a lot. So this is the text of the argument, right? Starts here, and it's in the bigger font, right? But the second statutory factor, yada, 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 and then they've got footnotes scattered throughout. There's footnote 9 was in there somewhere. And so this is the start of footnote 9, and this is the end of footnote 9. And sometimes it'll be several, so it could be like 9, 10, 11, 12. Here it's just 9. Right? But the great thing here about doing this research on a computer versus on paper is the hyperlink, right? So I'm going to right-click, open link in new tab, and then in this new tab is the Worldwide Church of God case. Oh, I should suggest this. I had a student come in today looking for a religious case. She apparently has some like a real interest in religion and wanted to do a case that was based on. I should suggest this to her. Anyway, I'll let you read this case on your own time, decide whether or not it's relevant. The hard thing here, copyright misuse. This is a really interesting doctrine. I'm not teaching it to you. I wouldn't advise you. So really, fair use is done with one new case, which leaves you in something of a pickle in terms of the easiness of the click-through. But I want to give you some other strategies, which include, importantly, leaning on the earlier cases, like the substantially earlier cases, as a search term itself. Right. So I mean, I don't want to overgeneralize, but I think it's probably, if you had to tell me to pick one case that's really the fair use case, that's probably Campbell v. Cuffways. I think that's, and I think that's probably not too much of a stretch to say. So, where'd the site for the full site for Campbell?
But I can't use it.
But watch. Now you can't use it, but I'm going to open it up so I can get the citation here. 510 US 569. This is what I should have memorized. 510 US 569. I'll close it. Go back here. Hide this. New search. Federal and state cases. And now this is a search term. I'm looking for cases that cite Campbell. And just citing that case isn't enough. And because the first time they cite it is going to be the only time they have this specific string of characters, it's not going to be helpful to sort by relevance after that comes out. So what I'm going to do is also add Campbell. And I want them to talk about Campbell at least 5 times. Right? And let's go ahead and specify the date, because we want it to be before at least the end of the year when your case was decided. I won't finagle about the month, but at least I want it to be from later years. So when was Video Pipeline decided?
2003.
Date is before 12/31/2003 in federal and state courts. Mattel v. Walking Man is suggested. Elvis Presley versus Passport. That's the case I was talking about today.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Bond versus Blum. I want to say I remember that being reasonably relevant. I could be mistaken. Anyway, we've got 56 cases here. I don't think it's unreasonable to ask you to read a couple dozen of the summaries at least, and use that as a way to find 4 or 5 additional new cases that are relevant to this.
So these are cases that relate to the video pipeline versus one of these things.
Potentially. Not necessarily.
How will I know if they definitely do versus they potentially?
Well, I mean, to that extent, you're going to have to kind of figure out the paper you want to write.
Okay.
Right? Because you want a case that says either it is or is not fair use. I think that's probably one of the closer to a 50-50 case. I think you could go either way with it. I've had people go both ways with it. And so if you want to say go with fair use, and you think it's fair use, and you think it's really important to improving that it's fair use, to talk about the second factor, to talk about the third factor, talk about the fourth factor in particular, look for cases that zoom in on that factor, right? And then talk about that factor in a way that helps the case that you want to make. If you think it's not fair use, and you think it's not fair use because of the first factor, talk about the first factor in some detail. right? And look for cases that give you a lot of meat to hang that argument.
And for the cases that for the you said you had students who have used this case and took it both ways.
Yes.
Could you explain that? How do they?
Oh no! I haven't had one student write both sides. I've had different students. I've had some students pick it is fair use, and some students pick not fair use.
No one has said I think it's fair use, but then at the same time it's not fair use.
Yeah, because that's not the assignment. The assignment is pick a side.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Okay. Sorry, that was unclear. Yeah. So, but I've had some students on each side. So I think it's reasonable to pick either position. And
the easiest way to see what each of these cases is saying is to look at the case summary. Right?
Yeah, and so I somewhat overstated when I said that all of the stuff before the opinion is junk and you should just ignore it. When you know that you want to look at a case, that's probably true. Like even the summary, just forget it. Just don't even look at the other. Just if you know that your case. When you're looking at your case, you're like, I want to pick this case, or I want to decide. I know that I'm going to use this case. I want to figure out exactly what this case argues and how I'm going to use it. Just skip all this stuff at the top. Is this case within the ballpark of what I'm looking at? The overview, just the middle gray block, can be really helpful. So here's the Elvis Presley case. As stated by the appellate court, the issue on appeal was to what extent may a filmmaker, under the banner of fair use, incorporate video clips, photographs, and music into a biography about Elvis Presley without permission from the copyright owners of those materials. The lower court, weighing the four statutory fair use factors, held that defendant biographer likely did not use the copyright materials fairly and enjoined the biographer from further distribution. Appellate court held the lower court did not abuse its discretion. District court did not abuse discretion. Abuse of discretion at the court level, like what counts as evidence that can be introduced, all of this stuff. When it starts sounding like this doesn't sound like copyright, you can. I really don't want you to get bogged down in that stuff because finding the copyright stuff and then using it well is hard enough. While a biography, clearly commercial in nature, biography sought to profit directly from the copyright it used without a license. Also, biographer's use of plaintiff's copyrights was not consistently transformative. I dare say that sounds like it might be relevant to your case. And one more thing I'd say is feel free to use a case like this even if it supports the opposite side from the side you're taking in your case. So just because I'm saying this sounds like it's really relevant to your case, and I really do think it's pretty relevant to your case, that's not because I think that in this case, it not being fair use means that it's an open and shut case in your case, right? This case is going to tell you a little bit more about what fair use means. So get into it, get into the meat of the case and the ruling and how these facts help give us a finer understanding of what fair use means, in addition to Campbell and the other cases you're going to cite. And on balance, it could very well still be the case that it's fair use. You can cite Campbell, and you should cite Campbell if Campbell is relevant to your case. It just doesn't count as a new source, right?
Okay.
So that 5 new sources is a research. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and I saw that Mattel was one of them as well. Yeah. So I could also in the paper include Mattel, but not on my bibliography.
Even in your bibliography, if you cite it in your paper, put it in your bibliography. And if you know for now you're going to cite it, go ahead and put it in your bibliography.
But it can't be one of the 5. It has to be more.
Yeah, you still need 5 more that I haven't dropped in your lap.
Got it.
Right. So it could be. I mean, you could have 12 cases, and 6 of them were assigned and 6 were new. But as long as at least 5 of them weren't assigned or suggested as paper topics, then you're good.
How long is the paper?
10 pages, and
that's. More than that, is that...
I was just gonna say that's often not enough for people, and that's fine.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you're hitting like 17, maybe you can edit it down for me. That'd be good. But I get a lot of 12 and 13 page papers, and that's totally fine.
So I will get on that, and hopefully it will work. I'll email you if I have any questions.
Oh, please do.
And then I will also refer to this. What is that called again? Where you're doing right now?
Oh, it's a screen capture or screen recording. So, are we good? I've answered your questions. I can stop.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me wait here before you leave though, but not on